Hello, welcome to our first 39-minute Wellness Wednesday call. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I'm board certified in traditional naturopathy. Tonight, we're focusing on healthy immune function through the holiday season and beyond. And I'll cover 30 minutes of content, and then I'll reserve the remaining 9 minutes of the 39-minute call for Q&A that you can type into the chat, and we'll stay on we'll stay on schedule that way. But first, this information has not been evaluated by the FDA, and therefore it is not intended to cure, treat, prevent, or diagnose any disease. This is for general educational purposes only, so please consult with your healthcare provider for advice specific to your unique condition. So, this is the time of year when you start to hear things like, "Oh, it's cold and flu season," or get your flu shot, get your pneumonia vaccine, or you're probably seeing commercials, TV commercials for all kinds of over-the-counter cold and flu remedies that promise to mask the symptoms, but they all contain some, let's say, questionable ingredients like mercury, artificial colors, artificial flavors, polyethylene glycol, MSG, dog kidney cells. That's kind of one of my favorites. Aluminum, all kinds of other nasties, we'll say. So I'd instead like to focus on natural solutions to help strengthen your immune system and to avoid those symptoms. So I always like to say that most health conditions really boil down to two things: toxicity and deficiency. In most cases, it's really that simple. So let's go over some of the toxicities and deficiencies that are specific to the immune system. So the immune system is it's unique in the sense that it's not a specific organ or tissue system in the body like the digestive system or the cardiovascular system or the endocrine system. It's actually a network of cells and tissues and organs and molecules that all work together to defend the body against pathogens. And so, with that in mind, let's go back to the concept of toxicity and deficiency. So, the ones that primarily affect the immune system, the toxicities and deficiencies that primarily affect the immune system the most, they all start with the letter S. So that kind of makes it easy to remember. But so toxicity or deficiency number one would be sugar. Because, 'tis the season this time of year. There are all kinds of foods and drinks that we ordinarily wouldn't consume, or at least in this amount. And there's cookies and fudge and cakes and you name it, and all kinds of beverages ranging from eggnog to whatever, because we're at parties, we're celebrating, and there's things everywhere. And sugar definitely depletes the immune system. It depletes you of important minerals as well that help keep the immune system going. And I know anytime that I consume extra sugar, I'm feeling it the next day in my throat. So just kind of being mindful of your sugar intake is helpful. I know it's not easy this time of year, but keep in mind alcohol converts to sugar. So maybe, I don't know, forego that last drink you were thinking about, or just be mindful of it. And I know in holiday baking, I try to kind of do some healthy substitutes. So, if, for example, if a recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, well, 1 cup might be raw organic sugar, but that second cup might be something like molasses or honey or I don't know, stevia or monk fruit. There are some others. There's date sugar, things like that don't impair the immune system so bad. Coconut sugar, but just trying to be mindful of keeping sugar levels in check. And something that can kind of help. I always like to keep things in my arsenal, but things that can help overcome what sugar depletes you of. would be a nice maybe a greens drink, and keeping in mind, looking at all the ingredients, making sure you're not allergic to any of the ingredients, making sure there aren't any drug interactions in there. But there are a lot of good greens drinks out there that are they're all made from a different combination of it should be at least healthy, organic, freeze dried spinach, kale, broccoli, maybe cabbage. There could be some, superfoods in there, even medicinal mushrooms, which mushrooms contain beta glucans, which are very supportive for the immune system. And so, a nice greens drink can help. Kind of overcome what the sugar has depleted you of. But just keeping sugar levels in check is a big thing for proper healthy immune function this time of year. Sleep is another one. I always say that sleep is sacred, and when we don't get enough sleep, that directly impairs the immune system. And when you sleep, your body undergoes this intense healing, cleansing, detoxification process, and it's most intense during the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So, we all tend to get probably less sleep this time of year because of the holiday hustle and bustle. Maybe we're shopping, we're wrapping, we're decorating, we're going to parties and different events, or all kinds of events this year, or maybe we're traveling. That's another big one. And so if you're getting less sleep, you're lowering your immune function. And so I always try to remind people, if you do nothing else for yourself this time of year, at least help ensure that you're getting some good quality sleep, and in trying to get your 10 to 2 at least a few times a year. I'm sorry, a few times a week. And when I say getting your 10 to 2, what I mean by that is that most intense healing, cleansing, detoxification process in the body occurs between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And that's really a common TCM thing, traditional Chinese medicine, because your body has a circadian rhythm, and when you're sleeping, there's an actual clock where different bodily functions occur during certain hours. So, for example, let's say around 2 a.m., your liver dumps toxins, and other things happen. Your tissues rebuild, hormones reset during different hours. But all of that cleansing, healing, and detoxification process is the most intense during the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So, for example, if you don't go to bed until 12 p.m., let's say you sleep from 12 to 8, that's not going to be as beneficial as if you were to sleep from 10 to 6. Even though it's the same number of hours, they're both 8 hours. If you don't go to bed until midnight, you've missed out on 50% of that intense healing, cleansing, detoxification process that occurs between the hours of 10 and 2. So sleep is sacred, and just some things to ensure your sleep is, limiting alcohol, because that impairs your sleep. Too much screen time when we're on our phones, or shopping, or scrolling, or on laptops, or whatever, right before bedtime, the blue light that's emitting from those screens, that's basically telling your pineal gland, which is right up here, that hey, it's daytime, it's not nighttime. You don't have to secrete that sleep hormone, melatonin. And so I highly recommend like limiting screen time the closer it gets to bedtime, at least an hour before. And there is a little trick if you must be on your screen that late. Most phones have a function in them. I know with an iPhone, it's called night shift. And you can go into your settings and set up your night shift to begin at whatever hour you wish. And really, that's just a dimming that occurs in the light so that it's not blasting your pineal gland so much. And I think in my phone, I have mine set to begin at 7 p.m. So starting at 7 p.m., I'll notice a distinct shift, a downward shift in the brightness of my screen, so that it's not impairing my pineal gland's ability to produce melatonin as much. So little tricks like that. And of course, having a nice, quiet, clean room that's dark, and you're not washing your bedding in toxic laundry detergent that you see on TV commercials and then breathing that in all night and it seeping into your skin. But just some tips there for sleep. But yeah, getting your 10 to 2 is really key. Another S in the toxicity and deficiency lineup that applies to the immune system is sedentary, like sedentary lifestyle. So this time of year, we tend to not get as much sleep. We just, I'm sorry, isn't as much exercise, as much movement, bodily movement. So I know personally, I'm not out walking, taking walks in the neighborhood, at least not as much. And I'm not swimming, I'm not riding my bike, nothing like that because it's cold. It's cold outside. It gets dark early. And so I tend to be more sedentary, even though I tend to be racing around more this time of year. I'm not intentionally moving my body as much. So, getting some movement, some intentional bodily movement, whether that be a few minutes jumping on a rebounder, if you've got one of those, which I love to do that. There's something that's you may want to look up online called the 4 minute workout. And that's a great little exercise to help get that moving because your lymphatic system is really your main garbage disposal in your body. So when a good analogy, I guess, is if you were to take out your trash, or let's say your kitchen trash fills up and it starts to get kind of nasty and smelly, and you take it out to the curb and you place it in there and your kitchen's better again. But if you don't take that trash out to the curb once a week, and have that emptied, then it's going to pile up and you're going to get all kinds of critters and things in there. And so I guess think of your lymphatic system as that trash can that you take out to the curb once a week. So when your liver and kidneys and other organs release toxins for you, they're captured in the lymphatic system. And unfortunately, the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, so it's only moving if you're moving. So a sedentary lifestyle can contribute to a backed up lymphatic system, which makes you toxic and septic, and you're just impaired immune function. So move your body and do whatever it takes to get just some intentional movement in your body throughout the day, even if you're not going outside and doing the things that you would be doing during the warmer months. Another S that relates to toxicity and deficiency as it applies to the immune system is stress. That probably should be number one. And we do tend to be more stressed this time of year, and it can be different for everyone. It can be financial stress this time of year. It can be the stress of trying to manage your schedule. I know I'm guilty of that. I have a hard time saying no, and I've got so many demands on my schedule, and that can definitely pile up and become stressful. Others may have, I don't know, stressful relatives or other family members or friends that they're around during the holiday season for different events, get-togethers, and that might be really stressful. So lots of different forms of stress this time of year, but stress levels are definitely elevated, and just keeping stress levels in check can be very beneficial to the immune system because stress is a toxicity. And just doing things like learning to say no when you can. Just keeping your schedule manageable. Doing some deep breathing, deep abdominal breathing, in through the nose and expanding deeply, especially in the lower part of your lungs, and then holding that for a second and exhaling fully. Maybe a count of 4, 6, and 8. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 6, release for a count of 8, something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what deep abdominal breathing does is it helps activate the vagus nerve, which is a powerful nerve system that runs from your lower abdominal region, and it kind of winds around through different organs, your reproductive system, your digestive system, your your heart, your thyroid, and then goes up into your brain. And just by doing that, by activating your vagus nerve, that can immediately lower stress levels. It can lower blood pressure. It can tell your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, chill out. Sally's had enough cortisol for one day, enough of that stress hormone. So that's a nice pointer to keep stress levels in check. Prayer and meditation, even if you've got a really, really busy schedule, I know it's a busy time of year, but if you can take even 5 minutes out to have a very highly focused prayer or meditation, that can definitely help with stress levels as well and help keep stress levels in check because your body has the autonomic nervous system, which really has two branches. There's sympathetic, also known as fight, flight, or freeze, and there's parasympathetic, also known as rest, digest, repair. And our sympathetic nervous system is there to save our lives, really. If you go back historically, thousands of years ago, if a saber-tooth tiger was chasing after you, you would have to kick into sympathetic mode because that would give you superpowers to run like the wind and get out of there. And so, we no longer have saber-tooth tigers chasing after us anymore, obviously, thank goodness, but we do have the a stressful holiday season. We have maybe mean bosses. Maybe we don't spend enough time outdoors. We don't get enough exercise. Maybe we've got financial stress. Maybe we've got, I don't know, relative stress, things like that. And maybe we spend too much time in front of our screens. There's the 24-hour news cycle, there's social media. So lots of modern day stress that has replaced the antiquated stress that we used to have, but it's still stress nevertheless. And so when you get in that heightened state of awareness of sympathetic, there are different physiological changes that occur in the body. So, for example, your pupils might dilate so that you can see in all directions to get out of there, to get out of danger. And you may have increased heart rate and blood pressure to send blood to your extremities so you can run like the wind. So that's what it's designed for. But we tend to get stuck in that sympathetic mode from constant stress, and that can really take a toll on the body, especially the immune system. And for that matter, when your body gives extra energy to other bodily systems to help you run fast, for example, it has to take from other systems because you only have a certain amount of energy in your energy bank. And in order for your body to give energy to one area, it has to take from another. So when it comes to this, it typically takes from really three systems. When you're in sympathetic mode, it tends to take from the digestive system because if you think about it, who needs to be sitting down at a four-course meal when a saber-tooth tiger's chasing after you? So when we're stressed, we tend to have digestive issues. It can also take from the reproductive system because who needs to be making babies when a saber-tooth tiger's chasing after you? So that can be common. So when it comes to fertility matters, another system it can take from is the immune system. Because if you've got the sniffles, who cares? Because a tiger's chasing after you. And so those are the three systems that tend to be impaired when you're in that heightened state of awareness of sympathetic mode. So getting stress levels under control, that is key. So those are a few of the pointers, but I'll get to some others in a bit. Sunshine is the fifth S that is on the toxicity and deficiency. So in this case, deficiency when it comes to immune function. So when we step out into the sun, it triggers our body's ability to produce vitamin D. It doesn't actually put vitamin D in us, but it helps our bodies to make vitamin D. And this time of year, we're simply not getting as much sun. We're not. I know I personally don't get out nearly as much during these months because it's cold. And so vitamin D is immune function 101. If you don't have enough vitamin D, if you're deficient in vitamin D, you're going to get sick easily. Also, if you're lacking, if you're deficient in vitamin D, you can become depressed easily. That's kind of depression 101. Also, low vitamin D levels can contribute to poor teeth and bone health, teeth and bone deterioration. So vitamin D is crucial that we get from the sun. And I always say don't take it if you can make it. So, for example, that's a molecule that your body can make by stepping out into the sun. And that sunshine vitamin D is going to be far more bioavailable than if you were to take a supplement. But sometimes you have to take a supplement if you can't make it. So, but I'm going to get into some other molecules that we can make. For example, you can't make vitamin C. So vitamin C can be very helpful for the immune system, but our bodies can't make it. So you're going to get your vitamin C from hopefully either a whole food supplement, a food-based supplement, not a synthetic, or and/or from food, from eating healthy whole foods. So like citrus fruits and berries and even peppers contain vitamin C. So yeah, don't take it if you can make it, but vitamin C is one that we're getting exogenously. So I'm going to get into some other before we get into Q&A, some other ways to help with immune function that I love. And I don't think any of you on here are familiar with these patches. I'm not sure, but X39 is our foundational patch. And what these patches are is a form of wearable phototherapy. So instead of standing in front of or inside of a phototherapy machine, they're tapping into your own body as the power source. And each patch looks like this. They all look alike. And in the center, there's a crystal lattice structure that's reflective. It reflects back wavelengths of light that our body naturally emits. And in fact, that's why the military uses night vision goggles to track soldiers. They're picking up on the light that we all emit from our cells from the moment of conception until the moment we pass away. So this is a form of wearable phototherapy that uses your own body as the power source. So the X39 patch is the foundational patch that pretty much everyone uses, regardless of whether or not they might be wearing other patches. You can accomplish so much in the body with the X39 patch, and none of these patches have any side effects, but they have plenty of side benefits. So I know we're running short on time already, but the way the X39 patch works is it elevates your own native endogenous GHK copper peptide in the body, which you naturally produce instead of getting injections. And that resets over 4,000 genes to a younger, healthier state, one of which is P63. You don't even need to know that, but that helps to reactivate your tired old dormant stem cells that have slowed way down as we age. And so your stem cells are really kind of the holy grail for healing, repair, and regeneration. And again, like I mentioned, there are no side effects and there are no drug interactions because the patches are non-transdermal. So nothing foreign enters the body. They're just reflecting back wavelengths of light that we all naturally emit. So there are no side effects, but there are plenty of side benefits. And one of the side benefits of the X39 patch is that it elevates your native or endogenous levels of glutathione. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant and master detoxer. And so for one, it provides deep immune support, deep foundational immune support. And then glutathione also helps your body to release toxins, whether that be pesticides that are found in some of the foods and drinks that we're consuming this time of year. It can be heavy metals. Maybe you consumed or got injected with something that promised to help reduce or eliminate cold and flu symptoms. But yeah, just heavy metals, pesticides, even mold, even different pathogens that come our way. So glutathione can be great for the immune system on multiple levels, but that is just one of the many side benefits of the foundational X39 patch. Another patch that can be very beneficial for immune function this time of year and more and beyond is the Eon patch. It looks like Aeon, but it's pronounced Eon. And Eon has a couple different functions, but what it does is it reflects back wavelengths of light to elevate your SOD levels. SOD stands for superoxide dismutase, which is a powerful antioxidant and a wonderful antioxidant. And what that does is it, number one, helps balance the autonomic nervous system. Again, that sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze versus parasympathetic rest, digest, repair. It just helps balance that out so you're not stuck in that heightened state of awareness. It can tell your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys to just kind of chill out. You've had enough cortisol, enough of that stress hormone for one day. And the Eon patch also serves as a broad spectrum anti-inflammatory. So it can even lower C-reactive proteins that rise in response to inflammation. And America is known as a nation of inflammation. And so with a lot of the things that we're consuming this time of year, and with all the hustle and bustle, with all the stress and all the things, we tend to have more inflammation. So the Eon patch can help with that, help to lower stress and inflammation. You can't go wrong there. I mentioned glutathione. There's actually a glutathione patch. Now, this is a pretty serious patch, and I wouldn't recommend this right out of the gate. But if there's anyone on here who's already patching, it's definitely something to really consider this time of year, even if it's only a couple times a week that you use it. But glutathione is something that our livers produce endogenously, and it's our body's master antioxidant, our master detoxer. It helps provide deep immune support. And so there are all kinds of health conditions ranging from cancer to Parkinson's disease that are directly tied to glutathione deficiency. And, glutathione, not only does it help provide deep foundational immune support, but I've even seen people use the glutathione patch in acute ways. For example, you've got a sore throat coming on and you've got a lot on your plate and you can't afford to get sick. I've seen people apply two glutathione patches, one on either side of the throat, and nip that sore throat in the bud. Right then and there. So, but glutathione is directly tied to longevity. There's so much with it, but again, it's your body's master antioxidant and master detoxer. The X39 patch can help elevate your glutathione levels by about 30%. But the glutathione patch can help elevate your native glutathione levels by an average of 300%. So, again, it's a pretty serious patch, and with all the patches, you want to make sure that you're well hydrated. A good rule of thumb is half your weight in ounces per day of good clean water, but definitely make sure you're well hydrated with the glutathione patch, and especially if you're consuming beverages that contain alcohol or caffeine, you'll want to drink even more than half your weight in ounces per day to help compensate for what you've been depleted of. And then one last patch or a two patch system that I'm going to just quickly mention that you may benefit from with regard to the immune system is the energy enhancers. This is the two patch system that started it all, and it was actually invented for the Navy SEALs about 25 years ago, and then it made its way to the U.S. Olympic swim team, and then it finally got out to the civilian population, thank goodness, so that the rest of us can benefit from it. And as the name implies, the energy enhancers help provide clean, stimulant-free energy through the mitochondria, because again, they're all non-transdermal, nothing foreign enters the body. And they all have no side effects, but plenty of side benefits. And so one of perhaps my favorite side benefit of the Energy Enhancer patch is that it helps to move the lymphatic system. So why is that important? Well, this time of year when we're traveling, trains, planes, and automobiles, you can be stuck on one of those vehicles for hours on end. And your lymphatic system, as I mentioned, does not have a pump. It's only moving if you're moving. But a side benefit of the energy enhancer is that it does help move the lymphatic system to prevent that backup, which leads to more toxicity and illness. illness. So just something to consider with traveling, if nothing else, is the energy enhancer as it relates to healthy immune function. And then I mentioned the glutathione patch, which is a very serious one. It's detoxification and deep immune support. And the Eon patch helps to balance that autonomic nervous system to lower stress levels and also help lower inflammation within the body. And then the X39 patch has way too many benefits to even go over here, not the least of which is apoptosis. May want to look that up. But anyway, just some things as it relates to the immune system with regard to the patches that I like to keep in my arsenal for, especially for this time of year. So with that being said, we are about at the 30-minute mark. I can go ahead and get into questions here in the chat and go over those. Let's see here. What are the ingredients? What are the ingredients of the patches? Okay, so each patch, what makes each of the 10 different patches different that LifeWave makes is that crystal lattice structure inside. So they all look alike, but the inside is a reflective crystal lattice structure that's formed from a combination of amino acids, salts, sugars, water, oxygen, and that's what forms that reflective structure that knows which wavelengths of light to reflect back into the body to produce these beneficial changes. And again, they're non-transdermal, so there's no concern of allergies or anything like that because nothing foreign enters the body. So, hope that helps. Um, what if I forget to remove a patch after 12 hours? Good question. Because you wear the patches 12 hours on and 12 hours off while you're fully hydrated. And that's whatever 12-hour schedule works with your schedule. So my personal 12-hour window is 10 to 10. 10 a.m. I apply my daytime patches. I'm well hydrated. I remove them at 10 p.m. and I apply mine to my dog because they have started to break down after being on my warm body for 12 hours, but there's still a few hours left that my little dog can benefit from. And I just stick him inside his little sweater that he wears because they work forwards and backwards. But and they're powered by our body's heat and light. But if you forget to remove a patch after 12 hours, it's not a big deal. We've all done it. And the inventor of this technology recommends that you just skip a day the following day on that particular patch or on those patches because every patch has its own 12-hour window and there's a phenomena that occurs in phototherapy, whether it's phototherapy that taps into your own body as a power source using these patches, or whether it's standing in front of or inside of a phototherapy machine, and it's called attenuation. And it just really means that if you subject yourself to too much of a good thing, your body just won't respond to it anymore. So, and it takes a little while for attenuation to occur, but we just recommend if you forget to remove your patches, just skip a day and then remove that 12 hours on, 12 hours off schedule the following day. Can I wear more than one patch at a time? Of course, yes. I have several different patches on. So some of the patches are designed specifically for daytime use only, such as X39, because one of the many side benefits is increased energy. So that's why that's recommended for daytime use. So some patches are daytime only, other patches are nighttime only, and then some can be used either or. But yeah, you can definitely wear more than one at once. I've got one patch here. I've got one on my C7, which is the cervical 7 vertebrae, the bone that sticks out when you bend your head down. I've got one at GV6 location below the belly button. And I have energy enhancers because I had what should have been a 4-hour drive. I had a 5.5-hour drive tonight for this. And so I'm wearing energy enhancers on my calves. So again, every patch or patch system has its own 12-hour window. And some people will just put all of their patches maybe on their C7, but they'll stack them like a snowman, one above the other. The patches can touch each other a little bit, but you don't want the crystal lattice structure to touch, if that makes sense. And I know it's kind of hard to see on here, but they can be touching like that, but I would not, stack them like that. So just stack them like a snowman, no problem. Um, let's see. What if I have a pacemaker? Again, no problem. No problem whatsoever with a pacemaker. Plenty of people patch who have pacemakers, so no issue there at all. Um, what are the ingredients? Let's see. Okay, the ingredients, I guess I went over that. It's a proprietary blend. It's stereoisomers of amino acids. So salts, sugars, water, oxygen, and stabilized oxygen and water. That's what forms that crystal lattice structure. So I kind of vaguely remember learning about the crystal lattice structure in chemistry class, but that's what that is. Um, let's see. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay. All right. Any other questions at all? We are at the 39-minute mark, I guess. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. I'll be doing this every Wednesday, live at 5 Eastern, each on a different health topic, a health focus, and I'll post the replays on YouTube. But thank you so much. And if you're not using this awesome wearable phototherapy, please connect with the person who invited you here, and they can help you to get started with the patches that are right for you, for right for your budget and right for your whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. But I love these, and they work on so many systems in the body, and including immune function. So stay healthy, and Merry Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you back here next Wednesday at the same time on a different topic. So thanks again. Take care.